Today I'm going to show you how to turn a tiny Carvers Mallet. I really want a little Carvers Mallet for my chisels and also for hammering these centres in. I have got my proper mallet that I made, but I just want a bit of practice, to be honest, with spindle projects. And I thought, why not make a mini mallet? So the handle obviously is going to be rather small and it's only going to fit one hand. So this blank that I've got here is about 25 centimetres, I think, or 250 mil. I didn't remove the channel in the middle of this blank as I didn't feel there was a need to, as it turned perfectly well. But if you're concerned about things like that, of course you can just cut them out. But it saved a lot of time not cutting it out. I think this might have been used as a pallet because I don't see what else it could be used for, as it wasn't a beautiful piece of sapele, but it was very nice. I did think the grain was particularly different, which I think was a bit more fun trying something out of an old piece of wood that was just lying about. At the end of the day, it was a bit more of a challenge to turn at times because I needed to remove some of the weird holes, and there must have been some nail holes that had been pulled out or something like that. So that's why I'm assuming it's a pallet, but if you know what it is, let me know. This was one of the first projects I did using my new bench grinder. It's quite an old video, but I've just got round to editing it now, and the shavings that were coming off this blank were absolutely magnificent. It turned really quickly, so it was a pleasure to turn, apart from the small nail holes and bits like that. The reason I found this project so enjoyable was there was no end goal. I was just experimenting with the form of it. I didn't have to make it to a certain shape, so I had creative freedom on it, I suppose. I really enjoyed doing the things like the V-cuts towards the end, as that made this mallet different from a lot of the mallets I've seen out there. If you have any ideas of things I should turn, as always, let me know, but I'm definitely going to be doing some more mallets, as I'll talk about later in this video. I have 4 of these blanks. I used one to make the gardener's dibber and this one to make this mallet from. If you have any ideas what I should do with the other 2, let me know. They're exactly the same size as the other 2 blanks, which I think is about 300mm long, maybe about 250. So if you have any ideas what I should do with it, let me know, but I'm very happy to do something wacky with it, or maybe just, I don't know, experiment, maybe combine a couple of materials with it. With the mallet head essentially done, I moved on to focusing on the handle. For the handle, I wanted something that fit my hand and had a bit of a different feel to it. So that's why I decided to add the V-cuts, as you'll see later on. Whilst I made the V-cuts mainly for aesthetics, they also helped with the grip of the mallet, so they had 2 purposes essentially. As you'll see a bit later on with the mallet head, I started to profile in a tenon on the end. This was just so I had an easy bit to part off, as you can see here. This made it very simple to part off, as I had a designated place to cut, and the same at the other end of the mallet. I found turning this mallet to be really rewarding, and I would probably put it in one of my top 5 favourite projects, purely because I found it really enjoyable and it was simple to do, and it didn't take that long as well. I'm definitely going to be doing some more mallets in the future. I'm considering making one for leatherwork out of nylon as a head or acrylic with a wooden handle. Whilst a wooden mallet does a job perfectly well, it would be a bit more fun to have a nylon mallet purely for leatherwork, so I'm considering doing that very soon. I just need to find where I can get a suitable size turning blank at a reasonably good price, because nylon is quite expensive for what it is, and I don't want to waste a lot of material, so I just need to find a blank size that would work perfectly for the head, or I might use acrylic, which is a little bit cheaper in my opinion. Because this was a bit of wood that had been sitting outside for quite a long time, it did have a few characteristics that I had to include, and I guess just embrace them because they're part of the wood. I did make sure to sand it up from 80 grit all the way to 400 grit, just to try and remove as much of these weird parts of the wood as I can. The tear out was pretty minimal, so I just used 80 grit to remove anything. Then I moved up to 120 grit to sort of smooth it out a bit, and then up to 240 grit before finishing it with 400 grit and applying some oil. After sanding, I decided to apply some coats of Food Safe Finish. I used Chestnut Products Food Safe Finish for this and applied about 2 coats and buffed it off using a lint-free cloth to create a really nice finish. This mallet had a lot of little V-cuts in it, so I made sure to really soak the oil into it so it had a really nice finish to it. This piece of sapele had some beautiful grain to it, and the Food Safe Finish really helped bring that out. I added about 2 or 3 coats in the end, and then afterwards I buffed it off using a paper towel just to create a really smooth texture to hold. I then parted the blank free from the lathe. I used my tenon saw to do this, and I made sure I had a really thin section so that it cut really easily. As you can see, it was perfect because the live centre didn't go through to the other end. Here's some photos of how it turned out. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for watching.